An upper-class lady whose husband got paralyzed in World War falls in love with a groundskeeper, and they have a torrid love affair. A story of a love affair, and that's it. But there is something more inside the book that made it the most scandalous book of 20th century. D.S. Lawrence, a famed British author known for his radical and sexually explicit works like Sons and Lovers, The Rainbow, and The Women in Love, wrote something that the world wasn't ready for, and he named it as Lady Chatterley's Lover. As the son of a coal miner growing up in a working-class Nottinghamshire town, but a freethinker all the way back to his school days, Lawrence bristled against societal norms. He started his writing career drafting his first novel, The White Peacock. The book was about the mismatched marriage and the damage that they can cause in the no man's land between town and country, featuring famous descriptions of nature and impact of the Industrial Revolution on the countryside. Ford Madox Huffer, editor of influential English novel review, recommended The White Peacock to the publisher William Heinemann, who published it in 1911 just after the death of Lawrence's mother. His second novel, The Trespasser, gained the interest of the influential editor Edward Garnett, who secured the third novel, Sons and Lover, for his own firm. In the crucial year of 1912, he broke his engagement to Burroughs and decided to give up teaching and live by writing, preferably abroad. There he fell in love with Freda Weekly, the German wife of a professor at Nottingham. The couple went first to Germany and then to Italy, where Lawrence completed Sons and Lovers. The whole narrative of the novel can be seen as Lawrence's psychoanalytical study of his own case, a young man's struggle to gain detachment from his mother. During World War I, Lawrence and his wife were trapped in England and live in poverty. At this time, he engaged into the project, which was an ambitious novel of provincial life that Lawrence rewrote and revisited until it split into two major novels. The Rainbow, which was immediately suppressed in Britain as obscene, and Women in Love, which was not published until 1920. Well, these were just the beginning of the controversies. The Rainbow being suppressed and investigated for its alleged obscenity in 1950. In late February 1922, the Lawrence couple left Europe intending to migrate to the United States. Then they returned to Italy in 1925, and in 1928, D.H. Lawrence privately printed his 11th novel, Lady Chatterley's Lover. The story follows a married woman named Constance, or Lady Chatterley, as she navigates between feeling of emotional neglect and physical pleasure between her paralyzed husband and her affair with the gamekeeper. Like many of Lawrence's tales, Lady Chatterley's Lover invokes binary theme of upper and lower classes, industrialization and nature, and the integral relationship between mind and body. Rumors of the illicit content of the book sparked outrage in the United Kingdom, United States, and other parts of the European continent. Lawrence used the premise to critique the rigid class structure within British society as well as the rampant industrialization of his era, while advocating for a deeper form of human connection. He wrote the several graphic scenes describing female pleasure in detail and using four-letter words that at the time were considered too lewd to print. Avoid the censors, Lawrence had Lady Chatterley's Lover privately printed in Italy. The copies were then distributed to subscribers in England. Printing in this way cost Lawrence the ability to retain an international copyright, paving the way for the publication of numerous pirated editions. Albert Spryson identified the printer of this pirated edition as Lieutenant Kennedy from San Francisco. By 1929, the United States government had declared the novel obscene, with the post office confiscating any copies they found circulating in the mail. Travelers arriving to the States from Europe with copies of the novel also risked having the book confiscated by US Customs. That same year in Boston, James Dallasy, proprietor of Dunster House Bookshop, was arrested for having sold 5 copies of the book. Both Dallasy and his clerk were fined and sentenced to jail. Although their convictions were initially appealed, the case was taken to Massachusetts Supreme Court. The court affirmed Dallasy's conviction and sentenced him to 4 months in jail. Dallasy had been a victim of entrapment, but his conviction only fueled the growing controversy surrounding Lady Chatterley's Lover in the United States. In 1930, the novel was a key element in what was called decency debates raging in the US Senate between Senator Bronson Cutting and Senator Reed Smoot. Senator Cutting had proposed an amendment to Smoot Holy Tariff Act, which was being debated to end the practice of having the US Customs censor imported books that were allegedly obscene. Senator Smoot retaliated and threatened to read indecent passages of the imported books in front of the Senate, which includes Lady Chatterley's lover. Lawrence breathed his last breath on 2nd March 1930 in France after suffering from complications of tuberculosis. It wasn't until 1960 that the novel appeared in its unexpurged form in the United Kingdom, published by Penguin Books. Almost immediately, Penguin Books received backlashes from the Obscene Publication Act of 1959. In August 1960, Sir Alan Lane, founder of Penguin Books, received an urgent telegram from his colleague, "Legal action imminent, stop, advise your immediate return." The legal action was a criminal prosecution for the planned publication of Penguin Books number 1484, better known as Lady Chatterley's Lover by D.H. Lawrence. Due to the same act, publisher can publish any book by showing that the work was of a literary merit. One of the main objections was Lawrence's frequent use of some particular four-letter words and their derivatives. The prosecution team was ridiculed for being out of touch with the time when their chief prosecutor, Mervyn Griffith Jones, asked the jury to test the obscenity of the book by answering these two questions. Is it a book that you would have lying around your house? Is it the kind of a book you would wish your wife or servant to read? One juror who agreed with the decision to lift the ban replied, "I would not object to my wife reading it, but I don't know about my gamekeeper." The not guilty verdict resulted in more freedom for publishing explicit material in the United Kingdom and allowed Lawrence's last novel to be made public for the first time. The Penguin Book finally won the case, and the media surrounding the trial boosted sales. The 1960 edition of Lady Chatterley's Lover had sold 3 million copies.
So this is the story of a book caused so many controversies but proved itself as not guilty. This is the story of one of the most scandalous book of 20th century called Lady Chatterley's Lover. That's it for today's video. Make sure to subscribe to notify. Don't forget to like, share and comment. See you in the next one. Until then, keep reading.